Hello and welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of the 2023 Disc Golf Open of Pennsylvania, presented by Home Again Disc Golf. As always, we'd like to thank our coverage sponsors, Cosmic Disc Golf, D-Town Disc Golf, and Reaper Disc Supply. I'm Nathan Johnson, and today I'm joined in the booth by Dylan Horst. How's it going, Dylan?
Not too bad, Nathan. Excited to see round two. Got a couple new people on the card, one being Travis Dombach shooting a hot round of 11 under, followed by Chace, which we saw last round, shooting a nice 10 under. He is tied with Jesse Longenecker, also with a -10, rated 987, and then followed by myself, shooting a 9 down.
Yeah, should be a really exciting card. Second round at Muddy Run. Let's get into it.
All right, hole one, par 4, 474 feet. What we want to do here is try to throw as far as we can, usually to the shortcut grass in that little path. And then from there, it's either a forehand or a backhand approach. You can pick either gap, depending if you're far enough left, you have a forehand gap in. If you're far enough right, you have a nice straight backhand.
Yeah, as we mentioned in round one, it was a kind of a rainy, windy, cold, weird day, spring day. It cleaned up a little bit in the afternoon, but we were kind of dealing with the weather all day. So you'll see towels, you'll see umbrellas as the players kind of do their best to deal with the elements.
Yeah, and it was just off and on rain. We kind of got fortunate enough being out in the open so early, we're able to, not really have to worry about umbrellas too much, as Harry throws another bomb almost to the top of the hill, which is going to be probably a nice, easy jump putt for him.
Yeah, like we mentioned in round one, hole 1 and 2 are some pretty softer, on the softer side starting holes to kind of get you going into your round, not really punishing off the tee, as we're going to watch Jesse try to match Harry's drive up there on the hill. That'll be just fine. He'll probably be able to see the basket from there, honestly.
Yeah, Jesse's one of the up-and-coming locals to our area. He has some distance. He has a good putting stroke, forehand and backhand specialist. So he's one of the ones to look out for in the next few years to come.
Yeah, and he's still in high school, which is crazy to think. So
yep.
Travis came up a little short in this kind of tall grass here. So he'll have that backhand hyzer gap in towards the green. Catches a late tree to leave him with a, circle's edge-ish putt. Kind of a common theme on this hole. Looks like you're lining up kind of a flex forehand.
Yep, it was very similar to the first round. Had the same gap, just essentially throw it nice and straight through it. And yeah, just get as close as you can. A birdie 3, drop in is a pretty nice way to start the round, as Jesse proves it right underneath the basket with his approach.
Yeah, really well done. When you can throw as far as these guys can and getting this, oh no, I spoke too soon, as Harry kind of bluffs the forehand into the green there. That's going to leave him with a much longer putt than I'm sure he would have liked.
Yeah, especially being that far up on the hill. He was a little upset after that approach, but let's see if he can convert. Unfortunately, just a little right. But yeah, he was just a little upset on his upshot. He was saying that they were feeling good. It's just that's one of the few that got away from him.
Yeah, now Travis here comes up a little short. Had a really fire 11 under par round one. Travis, for those who don't know, is the president of our local Lancaster County Disc Golf Club, so he knows all these courses well, has had a hand in the design of a bunch of them. So you'd expect him to come out and shoot hot on these local courses.
Yeah, he's been my competition in the area for a very long time. It's always nice to play around with him, and such a great person.
Yeah, definitely. Great dude, great card mate, great competitor. I'm sure he'll be looking to put on a show this weekend. So a couple birdies, couple pars, and we're off and running in round 2.
Hole 2, par 4, 712 feet. The hill we played up on the first hole, we're actually playing down. First shot, trying to hit fairly reasonably wide gap. Really just trying to get as far as you can. If you throw a backhand with a right-hand backhand player, the hill will tend to kind of pull it down to the right and get a little more distance. There was a little bit of wind coming off this day. And unfortunately, Jesse just early released it there right into the tree. He just cannot hit. Got to the short pad though, so he'll have a nice wide open second shot kind of going down to the basket.
Wow, that's really, I'm surprised Jesse goes to the forehand there. He has enough backhand distance. Honestly, he might be able to get a jump putt if he went all out on that tee shot. Obviously, there, I'm guessing he just is trying to hit the gap with that forehand play, but just surprises me a little bit. You're gonna opt for that backhand line, getting a nice amount of turn like you talked about. And a huge skip at the end. That's way up there.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a headwind coming off of, yeah, just headwind right off the tee. So tried to deal with something a little more stable, throw something a little more stable. So kind of turned the wind, but then a nice predictable fade back. Travis looks like he's doing the same. A little bit of hyzer flip out of the gap. As you can tell, it is kind of raining a little bit. Not super hard, but enough to be a nuisance. But, you know, Travis is out there in position with a bunch of different avenues to get to the basket.
Yeah, it's kind of dealer's choice once you get down there in the fairway. You'll probably see most players just take a straight backhand or a slight hyzer to kind of mitigate the ground play up towards the basket. Harry, he's going to blast something down here. He's got more than enough distance to put himself into a good position. And that hill catches the disc nicely as he gets a little bit of fade back towards the road. That'll do just fine.
Yeah, another thing we were mentioning during round one, there is OB on the left and right hand side. They're both reasonably hard to get to. The left is if you never really turn the disc or throw a straight hyzer outside of the gap, or the right is if you turn it over and it just starts floating down the hill and just never comes out of it. Jesse throws a nice upshot right before, you know, the last guardian tree, probably about 60 to 80 feet away. It'll be a nice jump up for him and at least gives him like a nice soft run to try to save the birdie.
Yeah, like we said, Jesse's got more than enough distance to reach this hole comfortably. So unfortunate break on the drive. Travis comes up a little bit short there on his upshot. That'll be a bit of a tester putt here. He's just outside of jump putt range. Kind of floats it a little bit, or fluffs it, I should say, but it'll be just fine. His putting was looking really solid in the first round, so hopefully he's able to continue that some of that momentum here in round two.
Yeah, just a little tentative on the upshot, probably something to do with the previous hole, just trying to kind of catch that rhythm again. As Travis makes a great putt, probably just outside the circle for the birdie.
Yeah, that's a nice momentum builder right there. Kind of wake you back up, get the round going. After the lunch break, maybe a little sluggish out of the gate. Here's Harry now. Maybe a 20-footer, 18-footer. Clean up his birdie. Able to knock it down. And another birdie start for yourself. That's what you're looking for out here.
Yep. Yeah. The first two holes kind of set up for, you know, throw far, but then kind of execute a pretty routine upshot to get your birdies. So it's kind of just what you have to do. Execution is key on both of those. Here we are at hole three, par four, 397 feet. We're actually playing from the short pad on the right-hand side. So we're playing up this fairway, trying to hit a very straight gap, either turn it over through the gap as the drone's flying or kind of pump something straight with maybe a forehand. And then your second shot, ideally you'll be close to the logs on the right-hand side, favoring the inside hyzer gap. Or if you push it far enough straight, you might have to maneuver something going through. I unfortunately, when I threw the tee shot, hit one of the last trees, kind of dropped down. So not really in perfect position, but still can make something work to get up the fairway.
Yeah, as long as you miss these first couple trees, notably that one that's leaning right there, you should have something in towards the pin. Travis goes backhand turnover and is able to bite off a ton of distance on his tee shot. That'll get him well up the fairway for his second approach into the green. Let's see if Harry can kind of match that turnover line.
Yeah, I think Harry's throwing an FD or a PD. I don't remember which. Just trying to hit the gap with a little bit of turn. Unfortunately, clips one of the trees coming through and kicks pretty far left. He was in a pile of sticks over there, so he's going to be in scramble mode to try to get up and down.
Yeah, this forehand play from Jesse is kind of what I'd expect from most folks that have that power forehand. Just blast something as far up the hill as possible and then kind of let the disc fade on its own. Looks like he kind of pulls a little bit, but gets squeaky and finds the backside of the fairway. There's kind of a backdoor gap if you push this thing far enough up the hill that you can, throw another forehand towards the green.
Harry here with a patent pending, trying to get through, clips something on the way out, kicks a little right. So he's still going to have a little bit of work to do, but there's a couple gaps that he could try to hit on the right-hand side. As I'm here trying to throw a standstill forehand, basically as hard as I can because it's pretty awkward footing. Couldn't quite get the turn, but still probably about 40-footer for the bird.
Yeah, Harry's down the hill over there, but is able to execute a really nice scramble shot. Gets him up towards the basket. You can see the flag blowing a little bit. Once we get to the top of this hill here, the wind tends to pick up. So it'll be interesting on the putting green over the next couple holes to just see what the players are dealing with. Jesse's upshot looks like catches a tree on the way in. I'll leave him quite a ways short. And this is Travis's drive. This is probably one of the best drives I've ever seen on this hole, honestly. He's way up there.
Yeah, Travis is one of the farthest throwers. He's been doing a lot of form work over the years, which has got him plenty of distance. So he's been analyzing his form for a while, and it's nice to see it finally paying off on coverage.
Yeah, I know. I've played with Travis quite a bit, as have you, and he's eagled pretty much every eagleable hole that I can think of in Lancaster. As Jesse cashes a 50-footer for his birdie. What a putt. Yeah, let's take another look at that one. Straddle putt, little head crosswind, and he cashes it high right side. What a putt.
Yeah, it falls right in the corner pocket, which is great to see. A little high out of the gate, but dropped just in time.
You got an uphill look for your birdie as well. It just fades out a little bit too much there. But as Travis is putting, I'll talk about it. I was going to say, I think Travis has eagled pretty much every eagleable hole in Lancaster County, it feels like. And I've been lucky enough to see a couple of them firsthand. Yeah, the guy definitely has plenty of distance and plenty of talent to come out here and shred.
Yep, he's putting in the work, which is it's always great to see. And putting in the work, playing well, and being such a great guy, perfect combo.
Couldn't agree more. So that's going to be a par for Harry. You're going to tap out a par as well. So pretty good starts for the card. Seeing a little bit of struggle, but
Here we are at hole 4, par 4, 496 feet. There are a few ways to play this hole, so the ideal position is to try to get to the short pad, which is a little back and right of where the drone's flying now, by either throwing a very stable forehand through the gap or trying to throw a nice turnover to the right side of the tree in the middle of the fairway right here. So a couple different ways. As soon as you get over to the right, you kind of figure out whether you're throwing straight, a little bit of hyzer. It's kind of dealer's choice as you get closer to throwing your highest percentage shot.
I would have loved to see where that finished. Speaking of holes Travis has eagled, I have seen him eagle this one last year, I believe at this tournament. He goes for the straight inside aggressive gap with a distance driver, but caught a tree about halfway down the fairway. Jesse, this is the more traditional play you'll see. Just kind of chip a forehand. Doesn't quite get back right enough, so it's going to be tricky over there. But it's kind of the safe play just to to put yourself in the fairway, bite off a good amount of distance, and then you can kind of figure something out from there.
Yep, the goal here is to try to get pretty much as far right as you can, because if you push it too straight, then you have to maneuver through basically a wall of trees. So me, unfortunately, pulling it a little left, hitting the tree right before it started to bend. I'm either going to have to take the medicine and curl around, play for par, or I'll have to try to get sneaky through a majority of the trees that are on the left-hand side.
Yeah, it's tough to get sneaky. There's a ton of just skinny little trees as Harry throws. Pretty textbook shot. That's really where you want to land. There's just so many skinny little trees over here that you can pick a gap, but none of them are very big.
Yeah, you could barely see the basket off the right-hand side. You can see the flag blowing. So the goal there was just to try to hit the gap. Unfortunately, hit the last tree, kicked out pretty far right, but still got the forward progress. So not terribly far away from the basket, so can make something work.
Yeah, the forward progress is the important part. Travis has got kind of an awkward little step out backhand. Does a really nice job to push it up there and give himself a birdie putt. Harry, he's probably just going to have a straight putter into the green after a great tee shot puts him in the fairway. Maybe a little bit of a hyzer look, actually. Pulls it a little bit wide and catches a tree on his way in.
Yeah, Sona Sky God there kind of pushed a little too straight on him. And then here's Jesse trying to throw that nice turnover forehand and almost cashes it, but goes a little long, but still about probably like 30, 35 feet away. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, so you're out here almost in the open field of 16, throwing back into the fairway. But yeah, pretty close to pin high, so not too difficult of a scramble.
Yep, it was a little short on the upshot, but still close enough and still in circle one that most of the time should be able to convert that.
Yep, so here's Travis, where Travis's upshot landed. A bit deep, a bit left. Might have to navigate a bit of a low ceiling with these branches that hang over. Just misses it a bit high, catches the nubs, doesn't quite stick.
Here we have
Jesse after
Jesse.
going.
Jesse for the birdie. Perfect putt. Right in the heart.
Super smooth. A little bit of crosswind, didn't bother him at all. Yeah, it looks like you did come up a bit short, 25 footer or so, but that's not a problem. Able to connect on the par.
But yeah, this hole played pretty close to par today. 3.97. So it's a pretty good par four where you have to execute two pretty perfect shots to kind of get the birdie. Hole five, par three, 300 feet. We're playing from the silver tee off on the left-hand side. The shot plays a slow pushing hyzer out of the initial gap, which kind of opens to the natural fairway, which is probably about 40 to 50 feet wide. Idea here, throw right hand, backhand, pop up the flat, and then just kind of cruise and hit the ground nice and soft, as Jesse kind of does here. Goes a little long, but gives the basket a little scare.
Yeah, it kind of gives it a little bit of a run. You don't want to go too deep though, because there are there's some trees with low hanging branches that are up deep left of the basket, probably around circle's edge. So you can have some tricky putts if you push it too far. Travis looks to be fading out a little bit. I think that's short enough that he should still have an open putt over there from probably 30, 35 feet.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it skipped too far. It seems like the ground play is a lot different than the first round. The first round seemed like we were pretty low, kind of straight shots. They were skipping pretty far. Seems like the ground's getting a little more soft because of the continued rain all day.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's also this patch of pretty thick grass that's short of the basket. So typically, if you catch that, you don't get too much ground play. But if you lay next to the basket in that dirt, that's where you can get a little more skippage. So Harry's going to probably throw a Sky God here, I would think. A little bit of hyzer. Let it push straight. This looks like a good line. Comes up a bit short, but that'll be putting for birdie.
That was good ground play on the way up. And then here's my putt from circle two. Didn't give it enough, just a little soft on the effort, but still up there for par.
Yep, so here's where Harry ended up, about 30 feet short for his birdie look. Just a bit right, tickles some chains, but doesn't quite stick. Travis in a pretty similar spot, probably about 30 feet. Yeah, and that's right on the pole. Really well done. Yeah, and here's those branches we were talking about. Kind of a tricky low ceiling here for Jesse. Man, might have just nicked one of them on the way in. A silent putt.
Yeah, it was a good catch. Wasn't a great putt, but was a good catch. I would say just bad, it was good.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to use the chains all the time, you know. Sometimes you just dunk them in there.
Yeah, it makes it more fun, right?
Stressful is the word I would use, but you know, hey, to each their own.
Hole 6, par 3, 398 feet. We're playing downhill, probably about 30 to 40 feet out into this wide open fairway. There are a couple trees strategically placed that you have to maneuver around. The ideal shot is to take your straightest disc you have in your bag and then just throw it as straight as possible. Now, since the green and the fairway fades off a little bit left, as the disc loses speed, it kind of pulls off to the left. So usually a little flippier than you think is kind of what you want to pull a little bit right, and then the hill is going to kind of pull it left.
Yeah, you can see Travis with the lean there, kind of knows that his disc is fading out a little bit, but throws a slow enough speed that doesn't get too much fade and kind of stays in that 30, 40 foot range. I kind of like some, maybe even a baby flex line here, just because of how the gap opens up to move something a little bit left to right. Um, Kind of helps slow down the speed of the disc at the end and make the gap as big as possible.
Yeah, and it's almost nice because it forces you now for the disc to finish right first or to kind of pull right and then kind of just has the natural fade to kind of slow it down. Jesse here kind of just pushes it straight, doesn't necessarily get it over, so it finishes left, just a natural fade of the disc. But I definitely do like the flex play. I think ideally that would be the perfect shot.
Yeah, if you're throwing that same disc as the last hole, just a straight hyzer flip putter right at the basket. This looks like it has some nice height, great angle on it. Oh yeah, that's a park job. Nice shot.
Yeah, this is one of the prettier holes on the course. So finally getting one to flip up and fly flat the whole way there. It's a nice confidence boost going into the next few holes.
Yeah, for sure. Harry, he's gonna looks like he's throwing his glow P2, kind of catches a limb there, doesn't allow it to quite flip up as much as he would like. Even goes a little bit deep of the basket, but got a couple circle two putts coming up for the card. Jesse will be up first here from maybe 45 feet. Oh, just a bit low off the cage.
And Travis from a similar spot, maybe a tad closer, at least up to the right, kind of does the same thing. But they are playing up or they are putting uphill. So it kind of messes with you a little bit. Just need to make sure you give it a little more pop or toss it a little higher just to make sure it has enough to get there.
Yep, so here's Harry also just outside the circle, and that height is perfect. Right down the middle, able to connect for his birdie. And after your great drive, able to tap in the birdie too as well.
Yeah, it's another thing you were saying in the first round. It's like it feels like a bonus birdie, but it feels like it's not terribly difficult. It's one of those you get outside the gap and hopefully you'll have a nice opportunity.
Yeah, you expect to have a putt, but it's tough hole to park. So yeah, and in terms of actually getting the two is a lot, you know, a lot easier said than done.
Since 2021, Homagan Disc Golf has been committed to bringing the highest quality discs, apparel, and accessories to players on and off the course. No matter where you are, when you're on the course, you're home again.
Hole 7, par 3, 413 feet. So the whole way there is angled probably about a couple degrees to the right. Idea here is for right-handed backhand players to push and test this last tree that the drone's flying by right now, either before it or after it. If you go before it, you need more of a pushing hyzer. If you go after it, you need more of a stall hyzer or kind of skipping right next to it to kind of make sure it finishes left to the pin.
Yep, you looks like you're going for a more direct line at the basket. Kind of fades out a bit early. It's going to leave you with a tricky putt around that tree on the left-hand side. I think Harry and Jesse and even Travis, really, pretty much everybody on this card has enough power if they want it to go for that wide spike hyzer. But it can be tricky with some swirling winds going on, trying to figure out which stability of disc to go with.
Yeah, I think a majority of people here are trying to do what Harry just did. Aim for the last tree. You want a little lower so then you can kind of skip around it left or right. It just makes the tree obviously smaller. But unfortunately, he just hit it a little high. He still has a putt, so that's still great. But most players are trying to aim somewhere around that tree and hoping to get just in front of it or just behind it. Travis
Yeah,
here gets a little bit too much power on it, turns a little right, but since it got past the tree, had enough time to come back and fade and inside the circle.
yeah, it ended up being a pretty great shot. Yeah, that last tree on the right tends to grab a lot of discs and leaves you right about 50 feet. So either side, if you beat it, you are in a pretty good spot. Let's see what Jesse can do here, going for that wide line. Maybe a little too wide. He gets a little bit of finish back up the hill, but that'll leave him an uphill putt, probably just outside the circle. So now you've got a downhill look here. Got to bend it around the tree. Drop it in. Oh, just off the cage. What a bid.
It's one of those you thought it was in the whole way, and then comes up just a tad short.
Yeah, really great effort. So here's Harry now after catching that last tree. About a 50-footer, like we said, and can't quite connect for two in a row there. Yeah, it looks like Jesse's got these trees that are long of the basket to deal with. Oh, tries to go through them, but was just off the cage.
And Travis seeing if he could be the lone bird on the card. Perfect from about 30 feet, 33 feet. Excellent putt.
Yeah, really nicely done. Good to give it the width on the drive, stay clear of that last tree. No matter where your disc finishes, you're pretty much always going to have some sort of putt right around circle's edge. So, I mean, I think most of us on a lot of these holes, if you said you can have a 30-footer for birdie every time, I think we would take it.
Exactly. He played the percentage shot, kind of hit the gap on the right-hand side, threw some that went pull to the right, but then also threw something that was straight enough and hit the fattest part of the fairway and was rewarded for it.
Yeah, so a couple par cleanups here, pretty typical to what you'll see on hole 7.
Hole 8, par 4, 747 feet. The tee shot here, the mistake to make is don't finish left. We mentioned it earlier during the first round that you kind of have to get a little lucky on the left-hand side, and Travis here is definitely not where he wants to be finishing left. The idea here is to kind of push straight out to the right, so then you would have a pretty routine hyzer shot into the green. Definitely less trees, there's more airspace, so pushing it as straight as you possibly can is kind of the ideal shot.
Yeah, it looked like Travis's drive may have come out a little bit nose up, just kind of stalled on him. You're looking to correct on your drive on round 1 on this hole and get a good amount of turn. That is definitely what you're looking for. Just fading off the road back into the grass. That road is inbounds, we should clarify. But it's a good, identifiable point of what a good drive, where a good drive is landing.
Here we have Harry going for the gusto, trying to throw to the corner like we mentioned during round 1, and gets a pretty awesome drive off. He'll be just staring right at it. Nice putter upshot. Not quite jump putt range, but almost.
Yeah, I'm sure that drive's pushing over 500 feet with maybe even 550 with a little bit of downhill. And Jesse's going to try to match here with a max distance kind of hyzer flipping line. Yeah, also put a great move on it, and that's going to be in a great spot as well.
Coming at you guys.
So looks like Travis is kind of lining up a forehand roller over here. Maybe a tomahawk just to kind of get himself back into the fairway. Almost throwing it away from the basket, just so he has a look in towards the green, which is a really smart play.
Yeah, he was just playing the pitch out. He didn't want to mess with trying to go through the woods. So taking his medicine and then trusting his approach shot to kind of get him up toward the basket for the par.
Yep, you
My
opt
shot
to
there. Yeah, my shot there. Little left. Kind of snuck its way through the last few trees and got pretty close.
So Travis just leaks that one a little bit inside, catches a late tree, and he's probably going to have to lay that putt up from about 60 feet. It's going to be a pretty scary downhill look. And this is where a good drive lands, you guys. Just a easy little, oh my God, he even gave it a bit of a run. 200 and change foot upshot. I mean, these drives are smashed.
Yeah, I bet if Harry felt a little more comfortable, he would probably jump putt it. But for him, nice soft tactic approach, hits the ground nice and soft. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, making that hole look easy. So this is where Travis's third ended up. He's going to have this look for par, downhill. Doesn't quite give it the height. Catches the cage, so he's going to drop a stroke here with a bogey. Jesse went a little long on his upshot, so he has this for birdie and is able to connect. Really nice putt there from circle's edge.
Yeah, always nice to give it a run and still get the birdie out of it.
Yeah, best of both worlds for sure. And we'll get to your and Harry's upshots here eventually. Nice job to stick them close. Leave yourself that stress-free 12-footer. It's always a nice reward.
Yeah, because really you just break the hole in two parts. Try to get out in the open, throw a hyzer in, and three of us were fortunate enough to do that. Jesse's went a little long. Travis, unfortunate, a little bit too much hyzer. Hole 9, par 3, 296 feet. There are two main gaps to hit, so you can either take the flight that the drone's flying, a nice low screaming backhand straight shot, or it could be a forehand, or a majority of people will take the hyzer out the right-hand side. There's not too many obstacles off to the right-hand side, so it's usually easy to kind of fade something in.
Looks like you're going to opt for the straight at it gap for the second round in a row. Unfortunately, does catch one of those branches guarding the green, which are a little bit lower today than usual due to the rain and the kind of just general wetness that we have going on. Harry, he likes this wider gap, a lot more airspace out there, able to just leave the disc nice and wide, trust the stability to come back, give him a bit of a skip into the green. Doesn't quite get as much ground play as I'm sure he would have liked, but it will still leave him with a pretty reasonable birdie putt.
Yeah, we were having a little fun on the card. Good group of guys, so we like to talk and have a good time.
Yeah, you got to, especially when it's a dull, rainy day. You got to have the good vibes going. This is pretty wide from Jesse. Comes back a little at the end, but it's definitely a longer putt than he'd like on this hole. Let's see if Travis can bounce back after the bogey on the previous hole. He likes the wide line as well.
Yeah, he's trying to get it nice and close. Unfortunately, he just hits the last tree coming in. Not quite wide enough. Made the mistake that a lot of us didn't make.
Yep, so he's going to be left with this circle 2 look for his birdie. Just a bit low, catches the cage there. The hyzer line does, it looks so enticing from the tee pad, and when you stand up at the green, you can see how open it is. But it is really tough to figure out to get the width right, and get the right amount of right to left movement back on your disc to get yourself a putt. It's very easy to do what Travis or Jesse did and just miss that width by a little bit and leave yourself with a longer putt than you'd like.
And it is slightly uphill, so it's pretty tough to kind of push a hyzer that long. I mean, we all have the power to kind of get there, but at the same time, you don't want to outdrive the hole. So it's rolling a dice on how much power you want to get versus how left you want to get. But Harry, for the second round in a row, was able to convert, and the only bird on our card for this round.
Yeah, that'll put him to 14 under par, joining Travis and Jesse, tied for the lead on this card, with you only one stroke behind.
Yeah, very exciting round so far. Everybody's neck and neck, and kind of getting into the teeth of the course coming up. Some pretty tough holes, but also pretty scoreable. So excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, should be very fun to watch. Remember, this is only round 2 of a 4-round tournament, so we've got a ton of disc golf coming your way. Plenty of exciting highlights like that Jesse Longenecker putt we saw on hole 3. Thank you to the Norse gods and the family for supporting this coverage. We appreciate you as always, and stick around. We got the back 9 of round 2 coming right up.